Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger. My friends, I would like to talk to you today in this video about the future of Guilty Gear Strive's story. Guilty Gear Strive, its story is one of the most insane and complicated throughout the history, not just of fighting games, but of video games in general, and that's kind of why we all love it. Up to the point of Guilty Gear Strive, it's been pretty crazy. The Guilty Gear Strive story itself is also quite insane. Basically, it's White House Down, but anime. And the Strive story will continue this year. So our next DLC character will indeed be Baiken, but the one after Baiken comes with another story. Far as we can tell, this is just going to be another full-on cinematic story mode, like the very, very long one that already comes with Guilty Gear Strive. And you gotta wonder, well, we know a lot of the big beats from the story mode itself, sure, but that plot sorta resolves itself, right? The big bad is beat in the end, and then we move on with our lives. Obviously, this another story will contain more story, easily enough, right? But what will this story be? And outside of, hopefully, some of the characters that did not get featured at all in the first story mode, like Ramlethal, Faust, hopefully they will have some sort of featuring in this story. You know, where can we look for inspiration? Where can we look for some idea of where the story will be? And it really is all with Happy Chaos. Specifically, Happy Chaos's arcade mode. Now, the arcade mode stories in Guilty Gear Strive are unfortunately very poor. Compared to certain aspects of the older games like Exard or X2 that had a lot more elaborate stories. X2 had branching paths as well. Exard had like some minor cinematic quality to it as well, depending on which characters you were picking. They were pretty well done for arcade modes, and Strive not so much. Everyone gets a couple lines of dialogue with Nagoriyuki. People like Angie and Chip, they just literally toss out and go attack them so they can be friends. So if you were just to write off the arcade modes and just not bother with them, and a lot of people, they did exactly that, you know, I wouldn't blame you. There's just not much meat to the bone in the arcade modes in this version of the game. One of the things, though, that's mentioned quite a few times is demi-humans. That, and in case you happen to be not aware, the arcade mode little bits of plot we have all take place after the main cinematic story mode in Guilty Gear Strive. So all the White House stuff, the big fight with Eno, Happy Chaos seemingly disappearing, all that happened, and now then after that we have the arcade modes. So this is where Happy Chaos's arcade mode comes into play, because he has, as we used the term before, meat on the bone, he has a lot more meat on the bone than a lot of the other characters. He's effectively jumping around timelines / alternate realities. You see him here with Eno and Nagoriyuki, but this is not the main timeline / main realities version of Eno and Nagoriyuki. These are alternates or parallels. But therein lies the rub, as although this is a different / parallel Eno, this is not necessarily a different / parallel Nagoriyuki. Through the course of his arcade mode, we learn people like Nagoriyuki are a little bit special. There's a lot of sci-fi mumbo-jumbo going on here, which we'll get into in a second here. Eno's fine with it, because she's used to this whole timeline jumping stuff. But basically, the whole thing we're getting around to, why Nagoriyuki is special, is he's a vampire. Vampires are demi-humans, also like werewolves, apparently, and they're effectively glitches in the Matrix. Because if you happen to be unaware, Guilty Gear, the world of Guilty Gear, has a lot of similarities with things like the Matrix, due to the backyard. The backyard is basically the plane of existence that governs the rules of the world of Guilty Gear, and is very comparable to a computer. It's where Happy Chaos, as the original, went to learn magic as a concept and bring it back to Earth and teach humanity magic. It's where the universal will was born that caused all sorts of problems throughout the history of the franchise. And a bunch of other weird stuff. But basically, demi-humans, be they vampires, werewolves, whatever they're going to be, they don't have IDs in the backyard, as it were, therefore they're effectively the same across all versions of existence. And also, due to that, basically have some semblance of memory and personality throughout all forms of existence as well. Even if they don't actively know it themselves, it's in their subconscious, and Happy Chaos is basically stating he can rip into Nagoriyuki's mind and access all these different timelines and all these different alternate realities through it, and travel in between them. Effectively, demi-humans are your portal to Crisis on Infinite Earths, your multiverse if you will. So basically, this is our big hint of where things might be going forward, perhaps. Happy Chaos can now do this. Apparently Bedman is still alive in some way, shape, and form as well. And he has also gained this property of existing throughout all parallel realities. And Happy Chaos still has his compulsion going on, in that maybe he's a weird, crazy asshole, but he's kind of compelled to help out the human race. In that, one of his traits while dealing with Ino in the backyard left out that he has all the hopes and dreams of humanity itself flowing through him. If you don't know, his title is the Gunslinging Broken Messiah, the Restorer of Humanity. He feels that his existence will be forgiven by a greater will when humankind loses their humanity. He may cause major incidents, but he could also end up on the side of justice. So not to put too fine a point on it, but maybe next time around, he'll be the one playing the hero. Perhaps this is where the plot of Guilty Gear Strive will be going. Happy Chaos is very integral to the plot of Guilty Gear. He's been there since the start, effectively. Turns out a lot of the bad things that man was accused of, Asuka R. Kreutz, it was never him, it was actually Happy Chaos, like Baiken and her lifelong quest for revenge. He's definitely done a lot of bad things, but he's genetically hardwired to want to do good. And perhaps, now this is where the story is leading up. We now know he can access multiple timelines/realities by messing around with demi-humans because they have weird properties that he can take advantage of. And maybe the next story does exactly that, and also somehow finds room to put in people like May, Ramlethal, and Faust, who got zero airtime in the other cinematic story. He was willing to enable Ino to basically blow up the world in reality itself, because he basically figured he owed her one, and now that that obligation is out of the way, maybe it's time to, well, save humanity. We'll see how he does it. We'll see if he's got to atone, because he definitely killed a lot of people in the history of the Guilty Gear world. But maybe that's why we have the Broken in Broken Messiah. Who knows? This is all just speculation on my behalf. Who actually knows where the story is going to go? This could be completely wrong, and they did all this for nothing, all these little hints. I guess only time will tell, but as far as hints go, I think this is a good idea where things could be going. That all said, that is the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Guilty Gear.